And so there's a way, I guess, that I always look forward to the fall, to October and into November. And maybe it's because I can sense the blue ones circling in a sort of fresh and naked way. My dreams are different in the autumn, and the depth and the vision that those ones offer to the path. But also knowing that it can be pretty shaky. It can be tender and uncertain, melancholic, and not quite as bright and as clear as the summertime, the outer and the inner summertime, the solar. The path starts to take on as the light begins to shorten. The path starts to take on a more lunar dimension, a more descending journey than the ascending solar movement upward into the heavens. But it's more of a downward movement into earth, into mud, into soil, into moss, into the decaying leaves, into that yellowing of the soul. The rotting logs, the oranges and the golden, the reds, and all the imaginal ones who seem to hang out more in those sort of middle world type places. The elves, the nixies, the friends of Hermes. They have their own unique way of pointing into the blue, of pulling back the veil of our ordinary perception and revealing its sanctity and its holiness. And so this yellowing in alchemy involves a process I mentioned called putrefaction, where there's a dying away of some piece of the material, some piece of the soul, some companion that's been with us for maybe a really long time that is just no longer able or permitted to continue the journey by our side. It's asking for our blessing so that it can move on, which can, of course, initiate a real grieving process. Could be another person that we're coming to the end of our time with, or the work we've been doing, or a community that we've been a part of, an aging body and mind, and all that brings. What it is that has brought me meaning somehow isn't. It's no longer sensitive enough. And all of this really is preparation perhaps for the great transition itself, which is the ending of this life. And so to fully participate in the unfolding archetypal cycle of death and rebirth, we're going to have to be emptied out from time to time for that cup, the cup to be emptied, so that the new water of life is able to flow, and so that we might be baptized by that. And we see this emptying out in many of the world's wisdom traditions, contemplative traditions, mystical traditions. And certainly we see it in alchemy. For example, in the Christian mystical tradition, there is a process and a contemplative experience known as kenosis, which involves an emptying out of the known in order to be filled with spirit. And if we try to receive the water of life, to enter into that communion or union with the totality, with the self, with God, with Goddess, with pure consciousness, but our cup is full, which for many of us, it just is. with all of our concepts, with shadow material, with all of the looming sort of ghosts of our unlived lives. That baptismal water, the alchemical aqua vitae, the water of life, is going to spill and to leak and will be unable to cleanse our perception, wash our physical and subtle bodies, and polish our hearts. And this leaking, in my experience, which the alchemist was actually always on the lookout for, has a way of exhausting us, depleting us at a deep soul level, where we'll feel tired or restless, bored, unnourished. And so our study and our practice, our prayer and meditation, working with our dreams, active imagination, being out in nature, our arts and creativity, ritual, dance, whatever that yoga is for us, are ways of slowing down, re-embodying, engaging our senses, touching the earth. And also let us not forget what may be the most transformative yoga of all that we have in this modern world, the most potentially transformative temple, and that being the yoga of intimacy, the yoga of relationship. I mean, there's something uncanny about relationship, close personal relationship, that has a way of reminding us, we might say, of everything and anything that may remain unresolved, untouched, unheld, tends to find its way in through that intimate field. But these are all ways of sort of emptying the cup, if we choose to take them in that way, so that it may be filled again with that cool, fresh, nourishing water of the Spirit.